And we're live.
Hey, it's a feel good Friday. Boy, it's a great day too. Let me tell you what. The last couple of Fridays, I've kind of thrown out some down stuff. I've brought up some not so fun things. But man, today's a really really good day. I'm Paul Sullivan, your host. Billy Merritt presents Feel Good Friday every Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central. My boy Smith in the background there. He's running the show, if you will. All I do is just sit here and talk. So I got the easy job. He does all the work. How you doing, Smith?
I'm doing pretty well, and I'm not sure I would totally agree with that.
Yeah, you do. I mean, if I came in here and you weren't here, I'd just be sitting in a room talking to myself. I would just be like I don't know how to turn all this stuff on. So so it would just be me talking. But no, it's a really good day. Here's the thing. First of all, my Chicago Cubs. By the way, I'm wearing my Chi-Town shirt today. Chi-Town. My Chicago Cubs have won 3 games in a row. Can you believe that's like a miracle? I mean, because we have like nobody left. I mean, we have like hardly any players left. So that's fantastic. So they've won 3 games in a row. So that's a great thing. Now, if I'm being objective about this, we're not going anywhere. We've won 3 games. Big deal. Here's what I'm hoping for right now. I mean, for this season, I'm hoping that the Cubs do not lose 100 games because it's still possible. So I'm like, oh God, they got to win. I think it's like they have to win like 4 more games before the end of the season to not reach 100 losses. So yeah, it's not a really big goal, but it's a goal. But the other thing is, it's my mom's birthday. Hey, put that picture up that I sent you there, Smith. It is my mom's 79th birthday today.
And for some reason, it's on the wrong screen.
And could you put it on the right screen, like maybe behind me? That way. Hey, there we go. Oh, we got the glare.
I have no idea what's going on.
I got the glare of the spotlight right over my mom's face. So that's okay. I'll slide it out of the way for a second. There's my mom. That was from last year, I think it was. That was her birthday. That's okay. It's not really showing up very well, but that's okay. Happy birthday to my mom, 79 years old today, who has done so much for me. Not only just, having me, that started it all, having me, but really has influenced me over the years. So many different ways. We make fun of my mom about how the things that she did when we were kids would be considered child abuse now. And even though we kid, I mean it. We were beat as children.
Tell him you're welcome.
That's what happened, though. I mean, weren't you? I mean, when I say beat, I mean, it wasn't like, we weren't tied down and beaten with a stick or anything like that. But I mean, we were spanked.
TMI.
By the way, my mom, TMI. So too much information. My mom, all of a sudden, she's gonna get shy. Like, oh, don't tell the whole world about that.
Would she make you go get the switch yourself?
When we visited my relatives in Kentucky, that would be a thing. Go get the switch. and then of course as a kid, you always think like, hey, I'm going to get this little tiny thin branch, thinking that's going to be like, it's not going to hurt as much. That's worse.
Oh yeah.
You're better off getting the bigger round, huge log, because they can't swing it that fast and it doesn't rip your skin as much. But no, my mom, most of the time, just, her hand, just a good old fashioned whipping, just whap, that kind of thing. I think there was some wooden spoons involved at times, perhaps a broom handle. if she happened to be sweeping, we were doing something stupid, had our head up our butt or something, so, she might do that, that type of thing. But no, my mom, again, she taught me a lot of lessons. Paddle ball. She threw that out there, not me. Do you remember those?
Paddle pole.
You remember those, Smith? It was the wooden paddle. It had the rubber ball on a little on a string. If you on the rubber band, and you go bat 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 bat. I was the idiot that we would go to the dime stores, what we called it back when I was a kid, and we would get like a certain amount of money. I think it was like a dime. You get a dime. Maybe it was a quarter. I don't know. I don't remember. But we would go with my mom to the drugstore, which was again called the dime store too. So she would go to the pharmacy, get medicine, stuff like that, and give us each a certain amount of money to spend. Well, I was the moron. I don't know how many times I bought that stupid paddle ball, as my toy. And then my sister, Janet, who was a couple years older than me, she actually, finally, like, would you stop buying those? Because it would always snap. I mean, it was only held with a staple, the little rubber string or whatever. their little rubber band, was only with a staple. I mean, you'd play with it for, I don't know, a couple hours, and it would always fall off. It would always come undone. So then it's no good to the child. But parents, of course, are like, hey, this is a handy little wooden, it's light. It's made for swinging, so my mom would, she'd grab a hold of it and she'd keep it until she broke it. And you'd just hope to God that it wasn't you that got it broken on. No, but in all seriousness, again, picking on my mom a little bit, but we always do that. But my mom, thanks, Mom, for everything you've done, and happy birthday. Wish I was there, but I'll see you in just a few weeks. I'm going back up to Chicago in just a couple of weeks for my. It's not really an official reunion, a class reunion. It's sort of like, one of my classmates, Terry, just decided, hey, let's kind of, put some invites out there and see who comes. And we're not going to call it an official, because then it's weird, because when you say it's an official reunion, then some people really don't want to come. They're thinking it's going to be this big thing. It's like, no, we're just hanging out. We're just going to, have some hors d'oeuvres, some chips, bring your own beers or whatever you drink, whatever your favorites. Smith, of course, will bring like Monster or C4 or something. Not the explosives, by the way. C4, the drink. He would bring C4 or whatever. All right. So that segues us into the beverage, the beer of the week. Now,
why?
Smith is having some difficulties. I take a week off. I cannot
explain what's happening. I un full screened it, and it popped to the other screen. It makes no sense.
He unned, and that's what happened. So all right. So the beer of the week, Sam Adams. It is called Jacko Pumpkin Ale, like Jack-o'-lantern, but it's called Jacko Pumpkin Ale. And I brought up the pumpkin, pumpkin spice, that kind of thing, a couple weeks ago. But this, my friends, is really, really good. Now, I can't remember, Smith, did you say, did you actually like the pumpkin, the pumpkin like flavorings and all that kind of stuff that goes around?
I'm okay on them. I'm not a huge fan. I think the last time I tried one, it was like one of those seasonal frappuccinos.
Yeah.
It was all right.
Well, I have to say, a lot of the times they're either too pumpkin-y, or there's not enough pumpkin. So you have to try to find that mix. Mm-hmm. Now, some people, some of the, I guess, beer purists, if you will, they don't like these. They don't. They're like, that's bull. It's, just give me a beer. Don't give me the special, pumpkin latte.
No
spicy
flavor, no nothing.
Yeah, whatever. But this one, it's really light. It's light to drink. It's by the way, it's only 4.4 alcohol. So you can have a few of these and enjoy them for the season. But it has like the cinnamon and I guess it's nutmeg and, like that fall, autumn flavoring or whatever. So yeah. I think it's good. When I had this a couple years ago, I wasn't that fond of it because it didn't have as much spice. So they've kind of ratcheted up the spice this year. So I'm digging it. You can get the Jacko Pumpkin Ale from Sam Adams. You can get that in a 6-pack, or you can get it in the. I know it's it's so hot right now. Here in Georgia, it's so hot. Heck, it's hot up north right now too. But they've actually you can find it in stores, the 12-pack variety pack, and they've called it Sweater Weather. It's the Sweater Weather 12 variety pack by Sam Adams. So the Sweater Weather is available right now. When it is, do me a favor, let me. I'll be rude for a minute.
It was sweater weather for about one full day right after that storm passed through and it rained, and then it went straight back to hot.
Well, I was gonna say I guess I was out of town when that happened because now
it felt great.
Now it's 81. Mm-hmm. It's 81 in Douglas, Georgia. The high is 86, so we've got a few more notches to ratchet up here. Up into the later afternoon, but so not exactly sweater weather. That is unless you're my mom. So I'm going to bring this back around to my mom. My mom, when I visited just a few weeks ago up in Chicago, I believe it didn't hit 90. I think it was like 88. So it was hot when we went, and we're at my sister's house, and it's starting to get a little warm. There's people in there, and so like that. So we're starting to get a little warm in the house. My mom is freezing. She's like, so she has a sweater on already, and then we have to get a blanket. And put it over her because we had the ceiling fan on. That's what it was. She was like, that ceiling fan is so cold. Meanwhile, my sister Janet and I are like, we're like wiping sweat off of us, because they were cooking in the kitchen. So again, sweater weather, 12 pack, the variety pack is available now. And of course it'll be available through the end of the year too. Let's see. I took off last week and you did the show. How'd it go?
I thought it went better than I expected.
Well, I mean, what did you expect? Did you think it was just going to be like a total dumpster fire? I mean,
no, I thought I would blab for about 10 minutes and then I'd be like, I have no idea what to talk about. But I got about 22 minutes in before that happened.
Okay.
Before I was like, I cannot find more words.
Well, I mean, I watched the show, later. I was,
right.
I was down in St. Augustine, by the way, with my stepbrother and stepsister and niece, with Roy, Kathy, and Lauren, enjoying myself while Smith was, slaving away doing the show.
Oh, I had a good time.
So I watched the show later though, and I didn't actually go back and rewatch. I mean, I watched it once, so I didn't go back and rewatch it. But by the time I got about halfway through, which was 10 minutes in, something like that.
Yeah.
By the time I got about halfway through, I really wanted to started to take notes to mark down how many times you said, I don't really know what to say, or I'm a little lost, or I'm a little overwhelmed, or I'm a little,
this is actually something funny I thought about afterwards. I always get a bit frustrated when I'm on the other end because I'm like, oh, these people act like they're just terrified of silence. Like, take a second to think, man. And then I get up there and I do exactly the same thing. I'm feeling silence. But well, anyway, I'm just not sure where to go with this. Where was I going? I do the same thing.
Well, my mom just posted, she just commented on there. She said that he did good.
Oh,
so she said you did good. So there you go. You have my mom's approval. So that's a good thing. So when you were doing the show, you chose not to do the beer of the week.
Right.
By the way, I set him up. I left him one in the refrigerator and I brought one that was something he liked. It's not even beer.
Yeah. And I had not tried this flavor yet.
I mean, so I brought him an Angry Orchard. It's the peach mango. It's really good, by the way. I mean, it's perfect for the summer. Isn't it good?
It's pretty good.
Yeah. So, I mean, so he's behind the scenes drinking. We're just all drinking here. That's what it is apparently. But not to worry because our real employees are working hard, stone sober. So, but just so you know, so you opted to not do the beer / beverage or whatever, that I gave you. Because again, Angry Orchard, it's a hard cider. It's not really a beer. But now, what was the name of you did a drink of the week or a beverage of the week or whatever. Yeah. What was it do you remember what it was?
It was the Midnight Cherry flavored C4.
Midnight Cherry C4.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, now how many different flavors are there? I mean, are there like 10, 20, 30, 40?
Just in the C4, there's probably about a dozen. There's a cherry, there's a grape, there's a Freedom Ice, there's a blue bombsicle, which is like one of those like those red, white, and blue popsicle flavors.
That's always the one where you can never really describe what it tastes like. They always say it's blue raspberry, which means nothing. It tastes nothing like raspberry at all.
Not at all.
It's just blue. It tastes like blue. I love it like when you ask little kids, "What's your favorite flavor?" What's your favorite flavor? Blue. Okay, blue flavor. So obviously, so there's quite a few of those C4s. And if you had to choose one, like that's the only one you could get for the rest of your life, which one would you pick?
It would probably be that one, the Midnight Cherry.
Midnight Cherry, okay.
It's really good.
And
tarty, tangy.
And Freedom Ice.
Ice.
Boy, that's a marketing ploy right there.
Oh, it's good.
Freedom is all right. So what's it taste like? Freedom Ice.
Oh, it's hard to explain, man. I guess I want to say like mixed berry, but it's not nearly that dark.
It tastes like mixed berry and they call it Freedom Ice.
Yeah, you ever drink something and you can really only associate it with colors. You can't think of the flavors that are there. Like I know
the flavor's blue.
There's purple drink. There's like a blue flavor there and there's a red flavor there, but I have no idea how to describe it. I don't know.
Well, I mean, that's like trying to explain what anything tastes like, really. I mean, like when you think about it, when somebody goes, what does Coca-Cola taste like? It tastes like Coca-Cola. That's what it tastes like. It's really hard to kind of narrow it down. That's why sometimes when I'm talking about, the beers of the week and stuff, it is really hard to kind of describe it. So that's why usually I just describe what kind of style it is. Now this again, the Jacko Pumpkin Ale, it has like a cinnamony, nutmeggy, kind of flavor, but I like it. Like I said, it's good. So, all right. So you did the show, you did 22 minutes, struggling, by the way, that was self-proclaimed. He mentioned it. I don't know. I really should go back. It would just be fun. I bet it's like over 40.
Yeah, we could edit in the counter.
Look, have it down here in the corner. It's like, I don't know what click, I don't. He was an I don't show. But thanks for covering.
Oh, no problem.
So while I was gone, excuse me, I went to Chicago, took my grandchildren to the to the Cubs game. Then I went to St. Augustine. That's what I was talking about. On Friday, I was actually in St. Augustine with Roy, Kathy, and Lauren. And let me tell you what, I've been to St. Augustine quite a few times. That's kind of their tradition. They'll usually come down every year. Well, of course, they didn't come down in 2020 because of COVID. And then there was there was some kind of, scheduling or whatever. The three of them couldn't get it together or whatever for 2019. So anyway, I hadn't seen them in a couple of years because that's usually when I see them because they live in Indiana and I usually travel to Chicago. And so, and it's a whole 3-hour drive that they just can't make when I come to Chicago. Little dig on them. But no, so I drove 3 hours when they came to Florida. I drove 3 hours to see them. But no, we had a really good time. But I've been to St. Augustine quite a few times. Love it. Now, have you been down there, Smith? Have you been to St. Augustine?
I know I have. I cannot remember the last time.
It's such a cool place. I mean, they call it the first city. It's the oldest city in America, all that kind of thing. But there's just so much history, and it really is. I mean, it's got some of the cobblestone streets still, and the Lions Bridge is really neat. It's got the old fort. There's a lot of touristy, type stuff. But one of the things, the food, when you go, and this is what I wanted to bring up because Smith's like, he makes gourmet ramen, so, but the food, there's all kinds of different restaurants and stuff. And that's one thing that I absolutely miss about living in a rural area, is that you don't have a lot of the different restaurant, choices. So we went and, what is something that you like to eat that you never cook? What's something that you like to eat that you never cook, Smith?
I'd probably say seafood in general.
Exactly.
I don't know, like tilapia, flounder. That's
it's like most people really, they might make fish. They might, okay? They might make fish, but most people, when you're talking about like nobody, or very rarely, I shouldn't say nobody, some people do obviously, but there's not a lot of people that want to make oysters. A lot of people don't want to do lobster, or they don't want to do crab leg. They're not making that. First of all, it's expensive. And then second of all, it's a lot of work. To cook it, and then it's work to eat it. So it's just a lot of work and money involved. So if you're going to do, money and work, you might as well just do money, just spend some money. So we went to A1A Ale House is what it was called. By the way, they're not paying me. They're not sponsoring the show. So, unlike when Billy does the show, they are not sponsoring the show. So I'm just giving them just a nice little, plug or whatever. So we went, and the one thing that I will say that the A1A Ale Works, before we get into the food, they brew their own beer. They have a small brewery inside, so it's pretty cool. But they have a flight. Now, do you know what a beer flight is, Smith?
I do not. Okay.
A beer flight, what they do is they take, you get like, usually it's like little 2 ounce, or sometimes they're 4 ounces. It kind of depends on the place. But, they're small samples, and they put it on this, wooden flight. So they call it like a flight of beer. So usually, either they'll select it where, they'll choose which ones are on there. Most places you can choose which ones you want. So they'll give you, a bunch of them to choose from. And then you pick the beers that you want. Now it's a cool way that you can try beer. And, me, I like to try different beers and stuff. So I love going to restaurants and breweries and things like that where they offer the flights, because you can try a bunch of different ones and not have to get the full beer. So not only do you save a little bit of money, but you also don't get as filled up, and you get to try a bunch more of them, because you'd never sit down and and probably drink 8 beers, 8 different beers at a brewery or at a restaurant. You'd be too full. So they offered the flights. And so, but here was the thing though, very unique. And at first I was a little disappointed, but then I thought about it and I'm like, that's pretty smart. Usually there's a lot of different beers to choose from that, that they let you choose. Well, they only offered, they called it the local flight. So it was, you got these four, that's all they offered. So at first I was like, oh man, I'm like, you can't even pick, like this is all you have, that type of thing. However, usually when you buy a flight of beer, it's some of them have 6, some of them have 5. 4 is pretty common. I mean, just to have 4 on there, that's a pretty common beer flight. But usually when you buy a flight of beer, it's usually $10, $12. Okay. And yes, I mean, it's expensive, but again, if you compare how much you would spend if you bought full beers of each one, it'd be way more than that. Cause usually I think they're, excuse me, I think their regular, full size beers were like $6 or $7, so it's like, okay, you get 4. Well, their local beer flight was only $6.95. So it was only $7 and you got to try, 4 of the beers. So I'm like, that was pretty cool. So really good stuff. They had a coconut porter that was really good. I mean, that was really good. But so on the menu, again, I'm like you, I really like seafood. I mean, I like steak, I like chicken, I like a lot of different, types of food. But if I'm going to somewhere where there's seafood, I mean, that, it's easily accessible, and that's what you want to eat. So, have you ever had the fish, or has anybody ever had the fish wahoo? No, I'm not making this up.
I don't think about that.
It's not from the Grinch. I mean, it's for real. It's wahoo. It's a type of fish. All right. I'd never heard of it, but that was the catch of the day was wahoo. So I asked, I'm like, so what's it like? And, the waitress, who was very cool, by the way, she was very helpful. And she said, well, it's sort of, do you like mahi-mahi? And I said, yeah. And she's like, it's a little bit more, there's a little more like a steak, it's more meaty, than like if you eat like, salmon, for example, it's very smushy, it's very, it's kind of buttery and it just kind of falls apart. So, so she said, this is kind of, it's firm and, but it's got a good flavor to it, yada, yada, yada. So I'm like, sold. So I got that. And then it had it wasn't hollandaise sauce, but it had some kind of, it was delicious too. I really could have used like some dipping sauce on the side. It was so good, but they put the fish on there. Put this, like I said, it was kind of like a hollandaise sauce or whatever on top. It had seared, or I'm sorry, I don't know, it's not seared. It was asparagus, steamed, steamed asparagus, some rice, or no, I'm sorry, potatoes. They had like the red skin potatoes, like mashed potatoes that was on there. And then somebody else that was, at the table, Lauren, Kathy, Roy, somebody got rice and, all this kind of seafood and all that kind of stuff, but it was really good. And so it was something that I'd never had. And it got me to thinking, we really should try more things that we've never had.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. I mean, I'm just as guilty as most. You go to a place, you look at the menu, there's a bunch of, there's probably 3 or, if you go to like a common restaurant, for example, right? So, you go there, there's 3 or 4 things on there that you've never had or either don't know what it is. And I understand the hesitation if you don't know what it is. I completely understand that. You're like, well, if you go to a restaurant and they want to charge you, $15, $20, $25, whatever it is for a food, you don't know what it is. That might be, you might be a little more hesitant to do that. But if you go and it's something that you know what it is, but you've never had it, I guess I'm kind of challenging, if you will, to expand your horizons, get something different. The wahoo was fantastic. I'm glad I made the jump and it was really good. So is there something, Smith, that you've had the opportunity to eat that you chose not to? And you've never had it before. I mean, like somebody said, hey, you want to try this? Or, hey, do you want some of this? You've never eaten it, but you chose not to eat it.
I know there was something at the Salt Life. What was it? It was one of those Japanese vegetable dishes. It kind of looks like asparagus.
Mm-hmm.
I thought about it. What is those?
And all right, so you opted to not go that direction. So which direction did you go? What'd you order?
I ended up going with, I actually got sushi. I can't remember what type of sushi it was at the Salt Life, but it was good.
So was it sushi that you knew what it was?
Yeah, I believe it was what do you call it? Like it had the the tempura, like the fried
Yeah,
batter. It
yeah.
had sesame seeds and rice and seaweed. I believe it had shrimp and it was it was a lot of the normal stuff. Now I'm thinking about it, sounds totally like your generic sushi.
Well, that's I guess my point being is that try something unique and different. So I actually, like I said, I tried something. It was Wahoo. It was really good. I went to we went to another place, man. The Sunset Grill, which, by the way, Don Henley fans, the song Sunset Grill. It's a really good song. So we got T-shirts and that said Sunset Grill on them and that kind of thing. It was fun. But I got it was a different type of fish, and now, man, it just escapes me what kind of fish it was because I'd never had it. Doggone it, I forgot. But anyway, it was fish, but it was basically like a rice bowl. Okay, so like you get rice and typically when you get like a rice bowl from like a Japanese restaurant, something like that. That's what it kind of looked like, but it was more southwestern. So it had black beans in it, and it was really almost like a Mexican. Really, it was like a Mexican rice bowl, but it had fish in it, a different fish, and it had this avocado sauce. That was fantastic. That was really good. And I actually did get some of that on the side. Once I started eating it, I'm like, hey, can I get some more of this? Some more of this sauce. And it was really, really good. So that was really good. So again, try something unique and different. I had to get key lime pie. I mean, do you like key lime pie?
Yeah. I like it.
You get key lime pie, down in Florida. It's fantastic. I mean, I've had it at a couple different places and it's always really good. So I had to get key lime pie. So that was fantastic as well. Also went to the Oasis, which is like it's kind of a historic, it's been there a long time. A lot of people go there, it's kind of a tradition for Kathy and Roy and Lauren when they go down. They always want to have breakfast there, which is fine. I mean, I'm good, I'm good with that, and so we went there, and then there was another restaurant. Cannot remember the name of it. Boy, that's really bad. My memory is just gone. That's what happens when you get older. I'm not as old as my mom, who's 79 years old today. But did I mention it was my mom's birthday? But they had homemade hash. And have you ever had homemade hash at a restaurant? All right, first of all, do you know what a hash is? I'm not talking about the drug. I'm talking about food.
I'm not sure. No.
Okay. Typically, I mean, I'll buy it at the grocery store once in a while. It comes in a can. It's corned beef hash. It has, it's basically it's corned beef. It's got little tiny, potatoes in it, or at least I hope it's potatoes. You don't really know what's in hash, really. I mean, when you open the can up, it smells like dog food. I'm not kidding. But I really like corned beef. So I've had that out of the can, and it's really good. Or I like it for breakfast. Well, they actually make their own. So they actually made corned beef fresh, diced up potatoes, some onions, spices, stuff like that. That was really, really good. So I gotta remember where that restaurant was, so I can give them the proper props that they deserve. But that was fantastic. All right. So again, make sure you spread your wings a little. Broaden your horizons. Try something a little bit different and unique. Smith's trying that Angry Orchard peach mango. How's it working for you?
It's pretty good. I'm not sure I like it quite as much as the crisp apple.
Of course not.
But it's good. It's good.
Yeah,
I've always got a
that's
complaint.
That backhanded compliment.
I've always got at least one.
I don't like it as much as it, but it's pretty good. It's good, but I don't like it.
I think partially this is a problem that stems from me like reviewing and analyzing stuff on YouTube. I've always got something negative to say.
Negative Nancy. That's Smith, Mr. Negative. No, that's not him. He's usually pretty up when he comes in.
Here's a random positive. I thought this was funny. Did you see that they were actually doing key lime pie eating contests down in Florida recently instead of hot dog eating contests? I thought that was
but I like it.
Pretty on point.
I think Billy Merritt should sponsor that.
Oh yeah,
he should buy a bunch of key lime pies, and we'll all try and see who out eats the other one. I'm game for that. I don't care if I lose. I get free key lime pie. I'm good.
Oh, no doubt.
I'm really good. All right, let's move on to the classic rock revisit for the week. This one going back a few years, quite a few years to be honest. And Smith's still trying to get the screen behind me to work. He's a little slow on the draw. He had a week off where he wasn't in the producer chair, so apparently he got a little rusty. So our classic rock revisit going back to 1969 when Smith wasn't even a gleam in his daddy's eye. You know, I mean, it wasn't even close, as a matter of fact. In fact, I was only 2, so that tells you how long ago it's been. But this album, Zeppelin 2, after the original Zeppelin 1 came out, there was such high expectations. You know, Smith, I'm sure you've heard of the sophomore slump. You know, bands that, they come out, they do this great first album because they have all this time, to get it right. I mean, they take all this time and, to write the songs and all this kind of stuff, and they put it out, and it's, if it hits, then it's like, it's great. There's all these high expectations. Well, then, after you do that first album where you get a bunch of time, the second one, they're like, hey, we need another album. We need another album. So a lot of people are wondering, is it, can it live up to the first one, because Zeppelin 1 was so good? And let me tell you, Zeppelin 2 absolutely lived up to the hype. Some really good songs on here. And really, I mean, in my opinion, and I can't say that Zeppelin's not my favorite band. I mean, I've said before, Van Halen, you can see where I got a point. I got a point. Where am I pointing? There we go. I got to figure
done it like 3 times in a row.
I got to look at the screen. Van Halen is my favorite band of all time. But Led Zeppelin is just phenomenal. I mean, certainly could be argued as the best rock band of all time. And I don't think they put out a bad album, to be honest. They had a few songs that were, I wouldn't even say bad. I'll just say less than desirable, or, didn't compare to some others. You can't even say they had a bad song. I mean, they just very, very unique band, very creative. But Zeppelin 2 in 1969, Whole Lot of Love, great, just a whole bunch of great guitar riffs on their songs. I mean, just some really good stuff. Of course, Robert Plant, lead singer, one of the best, if not the best rock and roll singer of all time. Just phenomenal, great front man. Had the song Thank You, Ramble On. And then now Smith, have you heard this whole album? I mean, have you actually heard the entire album or just a few of the singles?
I don't know if I've ever listened to the whole thing at once. I recognize all of those ones, but
yeah, I mean, it really is. Every song on here is spectacular. I mean, it's just such a great mix of songs. Now, there's only 9 tunes on here, by the way. Okay. There's only 9 songs. It's just over 40 minutes, which is, you're thinking, really? It's only 40 minutes, but that was kind of the norm back then. 30 to 45 minutes, was kind of the norm. But really cool. They have a Moby Dick is an instrumental that leads into Bring It On Home that finishes the album. That's a really cool. I mean, like you just play it and it just kind of rolls right into it. It's really cool. And the other thing they did too with the segueing was the song Heartbreaker. And so Heartbreaker, I mean, even like FM radio used to play it. You'd play Heartbreaker and it rolled right into Livin' Lovin' Made. So it turned in like Heartbreaker, I think it was like 4 minutes, and Livin' Lovin' Made was really short, like 2:30 or something like that. So they would play it and it would just be this long, like 6-minute cool, 2-song medley, if you will. But just really good stuff. So if you're a youngster, now I don't mean like Smith youngster, I mean like, teenage or whatever. And people think that when they say rock is dead, well, go back to the rock roots. Listen to, I mean, this is the kind of stuff that truly, changed rock and roll music. It influenced so many different bands. Zeppelin is certainly one of the best ever, again, arguably the best. We've had that conversation before. I would still say the Rolling Stones because of longevity. That's the only reason. I mean, if I was comparing, the amount of time that they were a band, then I would say Led Zeppelin, was the best rock and roll band of all time. But because they broke up and, splintered and went off their separate ways, Rolling Stones have still been at it for a really, 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 really long time. And they're still doing it. By the way, Charlie Watts, the drummer, on a sad note, Charlie Watts, the drummer of the Rolling Stones, passed away last week. So he was in his 80s. I mean, he was still playing too. So pretty amazing. But the Rolling Stones, they'll actually be on tour. And so they're still touring, even without Charlie Watts. They'll get a replacement. So, as long as you got Mick and, and Keith, they'll be the Rolling Stones, pretty much. But so pick up, either, I mean, I know you're not going to run out, pick up the album. So go to YouTube, go to, your favorite streaming service, whatever. Listen to Zeppelin 2, some really good songwriting. The vocals, Robert Plant, again, pretty hard to match. I mean, that dude, he absolutely has, a phenomenal voice. And, and by the way, Robert Plant's, he's no young, he's no young spring chicken either. And his vocals are actually still pretty good. Now, of course, he can't hit those really, really high notes like he used to. But, for the most part, his vocals are spot on. So he's done some really good stuff. So check it out. Go listen to it. Classic Rock Revisit. We do it every week here on Feel Good Friday. So Led Zeppelin 2. And hey, if you're on YouTube, you're on one of those other things, you can listen to any Zeppelin song.
Yeah.
I mean, truly.
I'm sure if you can't find a video of the whole album, there's definitely a playlist down there. If you scroll far enough, you'll find one.
So Smith, even though, again, it was out and heck, I think they broke up before you were even born. But what is your favorite Led Zeppelin song if you had to choose one or just one of your favorites? It doesn't have to be like your favorite, the absolute favorite. What's one of your favorites?
It's gotta be Since I've Been Loving You. Yeah, it's gotta be it. I love that song. I mean, I love Stairway to Heaven and Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You.
Mm-hmm.
Those are probably good contenders, but
there's so many. I mean, truly, they're just so many songs. You could easily, just kind of rattle off probably 15 to 20 that, if you're I'll say an average rock fan, that you would know. I mean, you would know those songs.
Yeah.
I mean, 15 or 20 songs that, people just go, oh yeah. And even if you couldn't recognize it by the title, like, Billy Merritt's not very good at that, but if you played it, he would like, oh yeah, he'd recognize it. So they have so many songs out there. So go check out Led Zeppelin. Happy birthday again to my mom, turning 79 years old today. My Cubs on a 3-game winning streak. And you know what that means? Bottle sideways. So that means it's time to go, boys and girls. If you're going to be drinking this weekend or anytime, make sure that you're drinking responsibly. Don't drink and drive. Always use a designated driver. Have a great weekend. We will talk to you next Friday on a Feel Good Friday, brought to you by Billy Merritt. I'm Paul Sullivan, along with Smith in the background. Have a great weekend.